We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for Top Gun Sales Bootcamp training. And the one thing I had today is know your numbers. It's from Tom Kuntz, and it's the pressure point analysis is what it is. And so it's like I've never been able to really get that to stick with salespeople. What do you mean by that, Mark? Good question. It's it's almost like there's subconsciously something that the salesperson does not want to hear. They don't want to understand. Questions?
Why
Is it
don't they
so they
want to
don't have
hear?
to change?
Go ahead, Luke.
Is it so they don't have to change? Like or
Okay,
see where they're failing and they don't want to change?
nice. And was it Nora?
Yeah, I was just asking why.
It probably is complicated, maybe based on the different personalities. I think yeah, they don't want to see their failings. They don't want to see what they really have to do to work. They don't want to really see, the truth. They want to create an illusion in their own mind, maybe because they've got patterns where they don't know how to take extreme ownership. And so they want to, you guys are familiar with the golf pro principle. So they want to blame the clubs for why their game isn't bad. And so they want to blame the system or the company or the product or the customer or somebody else other than say, no, it's me. And so it's almost like in week one, what's the one thing that we need to learn? Like if we don't get anything out of it, what can all four of us need to learn? And then week two, and I don't know, week three is know your numbers. Like Tom, it'd be really cool to have Tom on and talk about it. I don't, he's like, and he's the only other person I've ever met that understands it. When I explain pressure point analysis, he's like, oh, yeah, that's know your numbers. And then he went into like how magical it is. And so, questions or thoughts?
What does it mean to know your numbers?
So you know how many phone calls you need to do a week or a week and a day. You know how many proposals you need to get out a week. And if you aren't getting out, if you aren't getting out, like if you have to give out 10 proposals. So Becky had a great question, that she texted me. Good work. Love that. And um, so your pressure points, it's like if I do 10 proposals, I'm going to get five to accept or two or eight. And you've got to watch those because it's not static. It's not solid. It's not like, well, this is what it is. But over a week or a month or a year, it is solid. But it can go up and down depending on what the market is. Like Nora has access to all of the past, and Becky can have access to it too. It has all the past. So there's times when, there's some years where we've had 80% sales closing ratios on Business X-ray. 80% of the X-rays that we do turn into Action Vision sales. And other times, I mean, we're running less than 20%, maybe 10% now. So those numbers, what's happening? So it could be, how much does Mark need money? like, like when Mark needs money, he somehow figures out how to sell. If he doesn't need money, yeah, he doesn't sell as much. Could be that. Could be the marketplace. Like you have the economy and things are tightening up. People are not spending as much money. They're not, they're not spending as much money. They're more cautious, guarded with what they're spending. It might be that you're in a different area. Like northern Indiana is very, very different than the East Coast or the West Coast. And so with Dreamscape, the downside you guys have is you're one market, really. I mean, you can go into a couple, but it's not the advantage that Becky and Nora have is they can go anywhere in the world. I mean, it's a phone call away from doing business. The advantage that Dreamscape have is it's one market, very focused. You learn that market, you work that market, and the disadvantage, that Becky and and Nora have is that there's all kinds of markets. Which ones do you go in? Where do you go? And so there's pros and cons to everything. But Luke, it's like at the end of every day. So if you get behind day one, it's just like construction, Luke. Like you have an idea of, if you have a week-long job and you don't get 20% of it done on Monday, let's say you get 10% of it done on Monday, to hit the goal of finishing it by the end of the week, you have to make that up. You can make it up where you go ahead and, do, 30% on Tuesday. But if you wait until the end of the week, it might be impossible for you to get it done on due date. Same thing is true as sales. It's a numbers game. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. Study them like crazy.
That makes sense.
And so today, and then where the analytic gets it, well, I don't know my numbers. Okay, well, make up numbers and shoot for the numbers. Shoot for the numbers. Like when I'm coaching people, and it's like, well, I don't know the number. The analytic gets stuck. I don't know the numbers, and then so they often do nothing. Like an analytics desk can be really, really messy. Why? Because they give up. They just give up. They like, if I can't have it perfect, I just don't want it at all. That's not a good idea. So you just do that. Well, what if the numbers are wrong? It's okay. You'll get them right. What happens to the human brain is when you start using numbers, you start getting more accurate. You start getting more knowledge. So the most important thing for Nora and Becky is to go ahead, and for all of you, but for Nora and Becky especially, like how many phone calls do you need to make a day? How many people or how many people do you need to talk to? And or how many appointments do you need to set up? And or how many appointments do you go ahead and need to keep? How many 30-minute strategy sessions do you need to keep? Like the guy who went ahead and had to give out 7 business cards a day, he just came up with that, 7 business cards a day. And he did that religiously. And so it's just like working out. If you stop working out one day, you make up a reason, I'm not feeling good. All of a sudden, it's easier to go ahead and make up another excuse another day. Same thing is true in sales. And you get behind and you can't make it up. At some point, you can't make it up. And then you just decide to lower the goal or accept something less. So until you know your numbers, you have to make up numbers and say, this is how many I have to do today. And you're not going to bed until you do it. Tom also said, you get the stuff you hate doing out of the way first thing in the morning. The things you hate doing the most, get them done first thing in the morning. And what's weird is for salespeople, it's often making sales calls, especially cold calls. Nora, what you got?
So how do you do it if you have somebody that, like that financially they can't really afford it, but they can't afford not to either? How do you handle that?
And so if they can't afford something, they can't afford it. A woman and an amiable is going to go ahead and have too much empathy. They can afford it. Look at the truck they're driving. Look at the other stuff they're doing. They can afford it. They might go and they think they can't afford it. So there's a difference between they think they can't afford it and they can't afford it. You've heard me say, listen, there's different levels of action vision, and so it's like a motor, it's like an engine. We don't want to give you too big of an engine because that's just wasting horsepower. We don't want too small though, because you don't have enough. So to try to get them to make that determination. Now, what you and I are having some issues with in ours is we're having some issues where they want the best. And so there's also the ideal in nothing. And so with, Myron, what we'll be looking at doing there is it's like, well, something's better than nothing. And so, if you can't go with the intermediate or the advanced, both would be awesome. Go with the basic. Well, I don't know that that's going to do the job. It will for a year. And if you're doing so well, you can always bump it up. So to get a sale, to get some type of a sale. So what the real trick, Nora, is this is now we're talking, 7th-degree black belt stuff, is what's one of the most important reasons for getting Myron, for closing him?
Not sure.
It's you. It's emotion. It's your energy. Because but you can trick your energy into something else. You know how to do it as a mom. Like it's like Ginger Ann and the date at 5 years old. Like you just learn as a dad, as a good dad, as a good husband. You just learn, listen, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be excited. I'm going to do this and I'm going to fake it. And what often happens when you fake it? Anybody?
Does it become real?
It becomes real. Not always, but you're faking it not to lie. You're faking because like the kids deserve it. Your wife deserves it. Your husband deserves it. Your family deserves it. You do whatever. And so they do it, but a lot of times it becomes real. It becomes real. And so Nora hasn't learned how to do that in sales yet, which is okay. But if she can track this time we get him, how can she flip the switch without it actually happening? How can she have the emotional, the dopamine hit? And she got a lot going in her life. So it's not just sales, it's not just business. There's a lot going. Like I told Rosanna the other, on Sunday on the way to church, I said, yeah, having this loss, it could put Nora out of the business. It could put her out of sales. It can put a salesperson out. And that's not going to happen with Nora, in part because it's Nora. In part, I'm just not going to let it happen because I know the risk. But what I want to do is more important than it is teaching her how to control her mind. It's teaching her how to control her mind. She controls her mind. She controls her emotions. She controls her emotions. Everything shifts. And that is a very powerful tool for all of life. So that can help you with the personalities. It's one of the reasons that I miss Jonathan. So Jonathan was an amiable, expressive. And so he was like a big cheerleader to me. And he gave me energy. And so, so he had he's the opposite, totally opposite of me. And so he gave me stuff that that I miss a lot. So you find people in life that go, okay, this is the energy that I need. This is the energy I need. And then you learn how to do it yourself. You can learn how to do it yourself. It doesn't take away from people. It just sometimes people can't give us what we want or what we need, even. They just can't for whatever reason. I still haven't figured out whether it's can't or won't, but I don't know. Nora, what else you got?
That's it for now.
Becky, what you got? Oh, I can, because Becky texts me, I can go ahead and do Becky's, I think. She's not feeling good. Okay. So health is really important to sales because sales is mind. It's almost all mind. And so when do you go ahead and push through it? When do you just get sleep? When I start getting a cold, I don't take medicine really. I just I just sleep. I just try to sleep 10, 12, 18 hours, everything I can sleep. So, that's what I do. As a mom, you can't do that, which sucks. That's one of the things. There's benefits to being a woman, and then there's downside. That's one of the downsides. So people that say they're going to do action vision or they're going to do the business x-ray, but they give you till a certain time. So what that is that's when sales kicks in, and it's a judgment call. Like Amy did that to us, and she said she's going to get started, in a year, or started at the new year. And so um, you go ahead and you might go ahead and say, like what I did with Rob, like he made a commitment to do something. So and then I went through the commitment. So okay, so so you're going to do this, and so Rob said he's going to do it. He's going to do it February 3rd or 4th. February 3rd. He's going to do it in a month. And so it's like, so is that a goal or a commitment? And you want to get them to a goal. So you're not doing it to get the sale, Becky. You're doing it because of they need it. So he had other goals. And so I went ahead and, connected it into his other goals. So when you go ahead so this connects, or they say they're going to call me back in 2 months or 2 weeks, how many of them will follow through? None. Nobody. Like nobody's going to follow through, Becky. They won't, in my experience. You have to call them. But you can work on the commitment. And your role in helping, sliding in and helping me. So the goal and a commitment. So is that a goal or is it a commitment? They're making the commitment, Becky, not for you, it's for them. So there's different techniques that I've learned to get people permission to push. Here's the procrastination. Why do we ask the procrastination question? So 1 to 10, how much of a procrastinator are you? Got that? Okay. When you procrastinate, why do you procrastinate? Does that match the personality? Most of the time it does. An analytic will procrastinate because they don't have all the data. They don't know. They're afraid of making a wrong decision. They won't tell you that, but they don't have all the data. The driver will procrastinate. They typically don't procrastinate, but they have so much going. It's not a high enough priority. The expressive will procrastinate because they just lose track. They're just like, oops, sorry about that, forgot it. Or it's not fun. The amiable will procrastinate because of conflict. So the analytic will procrastinate because of, their fear of being wrong. Driver, out of control. Expressive, not fun. And amiable is conflict. So then what we do is we ask them, so why? Why are you procrastinating? Why? Because that procrastination is the biggest killer. Biggest killer to sales. They're going to put it off, and they put it off, and then something else changes. So there's a bunch that would be a whole podcast. Maybe tomorrow, Becky, we would go ahead and look at how do you overcome it with each of the different personalities. And then we say, so if you're being coach, mentored, or partnered with somebody and they thought you're procrastinating, how would you like them to respond? So what we're doing, Becky, is we're getting something before they even think of procrastinating. We're getting their model. Then what do we ask them? Which seems like a stupid question. Like, why would anybody give you something that doesn't work? But they do. And a lot of times they know it doesn't work. Like this guy, he said, probably. Why would you give me something that's probably going to work? And so, tell me directly and nicely. You're an amiable. Directly and nicely doesn't work. It doesn't work with you. You procrastinate. You put things off. So what they want isn't actually what they need. And so that gives you kind of the overall. So how do you bring procrastination people in faster? You flip the pain. You make the pain more. And so if somebody, all of you, is somebody going to jump out of a third story window, third floor, window,
Probably not.
unless,
They want to die.
or
There's fire in the building.
there's fire in the building. So what you do is you do a technique, you increase, they're afraid that they're going to make a mistake. So there's a way to go ahead and create a bigger fear. You're going to make a bigger mistake by not moving forward. You don't have all the data. You'll never have all the data. So there's what you do is you make the fear greater. Like, yes, you might break a leg, you might die, you might hurt yourself, but you're going to burn to death if you don't. And so the driver, you're afraid of not having control. It's not a high enough priority. So what you do is you go ahead and you're going to lose control. If you don't move ahead, you're going to lose control. If you don't move ahead for the analytic, if you don't move ahead, you're going to go ahead and look stupid. You're going to make a mistake. You won't even know you made a mistake. You'll continue to make the same mistake all over again. The driver, you don't move ahead, you're going to be out of control. Everything's going to be out of control. You can't control it. The expressive, you don't move ahead, you're going to have all kinds of boring stuff and it's not going to be fun and you're going to have all of this stuff and it's going to be miserable. And the amiable, you're going to, you move forward. Yeah, there might be a little conflict. You don't. You're going to have 10 times more conflict. What? You think your wife, you think you're going to work less than 60 hours a week? No, you're not. You're going to work more. That's how it works with business. You don't get these systems in place. You're going to work more hours. You think your wife's going to be happy with that? You think your kid's going to be happy with that? Then you come up with stories. And they don't have to be your stories. They can be my stories. And I've got stories for all of this stuff. Kenny, what you got?
So working with subcontractors, or we do more work that requires subcontract work, and pricing for the subcontractor. We have a job. Would it be better to come to the contractor? What's the difference, I guess, to come to the contractor with a price and tell them, hey, this is our price, this is what you can do, well, we can pay you, basically take it or leave it, or have the subcontractor bid out each job that we have?
Yeah. So sometimes salespeople, they just go ahead and keep looking for the big fish. And there's a strategy and it works. It's like throw the little ones back in. Don't take them into a fishery. I'm just going to fish. So some salespeople, they don't work. They just go, they find a hot lead and they close it. They find the next hot lead and they close it. They don't go ahead and develop and nurture. And and they can make a lot more money than somebody who nurtures people. So, the expressive and the driver will tend to be, just get out there, find the sales and just close them. Just boom, boom, boom. Amiable and analytic will be more nurturers. So this is where I tend to be more analytic, is in this area, because I'm a nurturer. I just don't let go of leads. I should. So that is a weakness of mine. It's the fear of loss. Like, this could be a sale. This could be a sale and I'm going to lose it. The analytic. And so I don't know if you have one strategy or another, Kenny. You're going to have the same type of thing because you're an expressive amiable. So the expressive is just get me a new lead and I'm going to close it. The amiable is like, no, let's nurture them. Do you have one strategy or another? Maybe it's better to have one or the other. Or maybe you have a hybrid. Maybe you have, depending on the situation. And so the challenge on the depends is maybe you should let somebody go and you keep them, or maybe you should keep them and you let somebody go. So having a hybrid strategy, that could be worse. You can get less results from that than you do, one or the other. Theoretically, if you get good at the hybrid strategy, that one you're going to produce more results, theoretically.
Yeah.
But, or you might have, depending on the company, you might have a division that just goes ahead and just, so this here, if you have somebody in pre-sales, if you have somebody so in sales, you just want to go for closing. You develop people more. Here you develop people, here you close people. If you have the challenge with one person doing both of these, the problem with one person doing both of these is that they can do it wrong. They can develop when they should close when they should develop. The challenge with this, if you have this person, is they won't give them up to the salesperson. They don't know how to close them. So if you have an amiable analytic personality, they'll give too much detail, too much patience. They won't go for the close. And so it's not black and white. Luke, what you got?
For the business X-ray, if I would recommend this product to someone else, or I'd like for them to buy the product. Like if I say, hey, if you don't get any value out of the product, I will pay it for you. Is that smart or not really? Or
Yeah, good question. Great question. We don't know, right? Until we try it. So we don't know until we try it. And so you just have to try it. With some people, it'll work beautifully. With other people, maybe not so much. You might go ahead and coordinate with your legacy partner and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Can we work something out? And so, can we work something out? And so there might be a way you work with a legacy partner where you minimize the risk of doing that. So with a business X-ray, it's not a high price margin. It's $285. So it's not like a lot, but they can add up. You don't want to do that too much. And it's a solid product. I mean, it's I'd be very surprised if it didn't work. So there's
got it.
verse in the Bible. It says, I think it's in Proverbs, where a man goes ahead and says, I don't want to buy it. 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 Finds all the reasons not to buy it. As soon as he buys it, he goes ahead and says, oh, that's a great buy. That's a great buy. That's a great buy. That's that good Baptist training that I have. And so there's something psychologically when somebody says, I'm going to buy, I'm going to commit, when somebody says that. Now, where everybody makes money is not on the business X-ray. It's in the follow through. And the client, that they don't make money on the business X-ray, that reveals a lot to them. Like, holy cow, that's amazing. So it gets great value. Like the one guy that went ahead and learning how to do the story of, a guy who did the business X-ray and that whole story that I do. And he paid $40,000. He got more out of the $285 than he did the $40,000. So the business X-ray, people just go through the interview and they're like, dang, there's a whole bunch of things I can do. But most people won't follow through without something else. And so the client is going to make the most money in the follow through. In my experience, they have to have somebody helping them. But the Synergy or Life Masteries Institute, probably Life Masteries Institute, the MSP, there can be group coaching. The problem is, like, people who pay attention. People who pay a lot of attention. And so if people aren't paying very much, and so the MSP is a very powerful product. And it goes from, I don't know, $195 a month up to a couple thousand a month. but there's a scholarship, a pay it forward scholarship that can be granted. And maybe tomorrow we can talk about that, because everything's, when you as a business can go ahead and help another business grow, you take a totally different approach to everything. Like, you go ahead and work with subcontractors. When you sit down, and in the Action Vision, we could go over this again. In the Action Vision books, I forget which page it is, but there's something you can use with subcontractors or referral partners that you walk through once a year. Now's a great time to do it and say, listen, with all our subcontractors, we do business a bit different from others in that we want to help you achieve your goals. To do that, we need to understand what your goals are. So what's your goals? What's your goals of what it is? It's unbelievable what that will do for you. And you have typically up until January 15th or January 30th to do it. You can do it, 24/7, all 12 months. But now you have a sweet spot from today to January 30th is a sweet spot where people are thinking about their goals. And I'm telling you, you come in with that, I'll give you a presentation, absolutely mind-blowing on what it'll do. Like, I get tingles right now. Like, there's tingles from the tip of my head down to the bottom of my feet, because this stuff works. I'd go out with realtors and I'd do it, financial planners and builders when I was in the mortgage industry. And I'm telling you, they look at you and say, they've never heard of such a thing. They've been in business 30, 40 years. Nobody's ever given them this thing. So tomorrow, let's go ahead and do that presentation for you guys. And you might want to invite, we can do a recording so you guys could get that recording out to your close referral partners, like Jason and Compass and John with Oak Grove. So you guys could do that. So we can, that's a great idea. Makea, Krampus got a great idea. Anything else any of you guys have?
No.
All right. So, like this, it's, you want to get pumped, you want to get excited, you want to be like, how do you do that? And then all of a sudden you get excited. You guys are awesome. I hope you guys are looking forward to the next 12 months. It's going to be exciting. Always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.